Welcome to the City Debate Show. Joining me around the table today, two of Manchester City's favourite ever sons, the legend footballer turned film star Mike Summerbee and my old pal Peter Barnes. You know what? I wish I had a time machine. I'd take you two back to your pomp. You on the right, Mike. You on the left. Who will put in the middle? Asa and Colin Bell. That'd be a good midfield, Michael.
I didn't play midfield, I played outside right.
No, you, outside right, outside left.
Outside left.
Yeah, Colin Bell and Asa Hartford between you. We've got a side, we've got the makings of one.
Yep, correct.
Right, so, Middlesbrough, what do you think?
I thought, well, you've got to look at the goalkeeper, Givens, and say that he was a difference in the side, because they had 3 or 4 clear-cut chances, and if they'd have taken them, then we would have been 2 or 3 down. But he was there, he's brought to do a job, he's an exceptional goalkeeper. But in between that, we had chances ourselves, you know. We've run through games where we've had chances and not taken them. So, you know, we deserved the win in the end. I thought Bellamy's goal was superb, but we've got to learn. We always seem to be, I think, at the end of the game, the last 10, 15 minutes, we're all gnawing our fingers, you know. Instead of finishing games off early on when we get a goal up, you know, we're not taking the chances, you know. But the game on Saturday, you've got to say thank you to the goalkeeper, because he made some exceptional saves.
Now, Shay Given is a belting goalkeeper, Peter, but it was an interesting signing, because Joe Hart's not done too shabbily, has he?
He's had a great start, Joe Hart, and he's been very unlucky. As Michael will tell you, he's only 21. For a keeper, it's very, very young. You don't get to your prime till you're probably 28, 30 years of age. He's got a long way to go. But he has been playing well, Joe Hart. He's very unlucky. You know, there isn't many good goalkeepers in the country at his age who are as good and dependable as him, and he's doing very well. He's very unlucky.
So do you think... The thing is, though, Mike, because Joe is very young for a goalkeeper, but he's had a taste, he's played for England, he's played first-team football. It's hard to go back to being a bum on a seat, isn't it?
Well, it's hard. It's very difficult for him. I mean, if I thought about it, and if I was in that position, I wouldn't be too happy about it, but... You know, it's a challenge for him now. You know, he's got to. You know, he's not done anything wrong. He's done exceptionally well when he's been in the side. And to be honest with you, he didn't deserve to be left out of the side. But we signed a goalkeeper, and he's had a most fantastic day. But I think I think that this will be a good thing for Joe in the end. He'll learn by it, and he'll get on with it, and he'll improve by it. You know, he's also, you know, it'll go from there. But it's just, if it had happened to me, I wouldn't be too happy about it. But, I mean, it's a challenge for him. He'll say to himself, right, I'm going to prove the manager wrong. I'm going to get myself back in this side. Yeah,
and I think, you know, in our day, you had Joe Corrigan, who was playing well, and I think City went and bought Keith
McRae, yeah. He knocked him out of the side.
And then we had Ronnie Healy, who was a good keeper as well. There was 3 good keepers, and I think competition is good. And I think hopefully it'll make him a better player, and he can learn an awful lot from Shay Given as well. Well,
let's talk about some of the other new signings, because Craig Bellamy, Mike, he comes with a little bit of baggage, but he's hit the ground running with his 2 goals in 2 home games.
Well, you don't worry about baggage, do you? When
No, you don't.
Well, I don't worry about it. You don't worry about it. He's still in play. He's an exceptional talent. He's quick. He runs at people, which is something we've not done for a long time. He's a quick player. He makes people play. You know, for me, I mean, I think he's an exceptional signing for us, and I think that it's a shrewd signing by Mark Hughes. You know, he's got a couple of goals for us already, but he's a person that attacks people, and that's what we need to do. We need to attack quickly, and he's got the pace, and he can destroy people, scare people to death. And when he does that, he's running at people and working at them. There's other space for other people to play.
So you a fan, Peter?
Yeah, as Mike says. He reminds me of Darren Huckabee. Darren Huckabee can score goals. Yeah. He's a great finisher around the box, and Mike said everything right. He runs at people, he gets the ball, he's positive, and hopefully players will respond off someone like Bellamy. It'd be good for Robinho and little Sean Wright-Phillips, because you can't have one player in your side that's doing all the chasing with the ball. It evens itself out, and Bellamy scores goals as well.
What about the full-back situation? We knew he was going to go after a left-back. Wayne Bridge, as a right winger of some esteem yourself, how would you fancy your chances against Wayne?
Well, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good signing. You know,
still a good skin
international. Well, I wouldn't say that. It's a different game, isn't it, today? You know, it's. You know, I was quite an aggressive winger. You know, so I mean, not like him. He could skip past him with a bit of skill. Me, I was more of an aggressive type. You know, and the thing about it is that. I'd probably got past him with a bit of pace, but getting past him, I would have to, you know, probably stick my elbow in as I go by, which you can't do anymore. So, yeah, but I think he's a good player. You know, I think he's an experienced player. He's an international footballer. We needed someone at left back, and we've got a good player there. So I think it's the future looks good for us in that position.
It's early days for De Jong yet, Peter, but I said to somebody who asked me, I don't know much about him, but if he's good enough to play for the Dutch national side, we've got to take it he can play a bit.
Yeah, he's got the presence, he's a big physical lad. He puts his foot in, Jim, which we need someone in midfield who can do that. Win the ball and give it to the lads around him who can play, who've got a bit more technique. But I disagree with Mike. I think Mike against Bridge wouldn't have got a sniff in. Mike would have gone past Bridge every time. I never saw many fullbacks as a kid who got the better of Mike.
He always sticks up for me. He's always been he always tells you he learned things from me. I don't think he did. If I was playing now, I'd be learning things from him, you know. But I'll tell you, when you talk about De Jong and everything, the last player we had in that position there that sat in front of the back four was Vivian Foe. And he scored 13 goals that season from that position, and he played defensive as well. And I look at it now, I mean, he's a much smaller player than Vivian Foe, but I mean, I think we've got an exceptional talent there. And but the thing that really I admire about him is he seems to have been there forever. You know, he's come in and he's gone there and he's just fitted in particularly well, and he's done very, very well. And I think, you know, there are situations in games where you can see what's happening. For me, I can see what's happening, and I know that the management and the coaching staff are working on situations. And the thing I have to say to people, you have to be patient because you have to work at what you're doing, and they're working at things to make us into an exceptional side.
Do you know when we were singing your praises then, you got a little bit embarrassed and shushed us on? A few months ago, Tony Buck sat in that very chair, and do you know what he said to me? He said, if I could wish one thing for Sean Wright-Phillips, when he gets to the line, I wish he had a Mike Summerbee cross.
Yeah, good point.
Well, I think you did the same, but you know, it's like it's patted on the back job, isn't it? But the thing is, the thing is that you know, that's what we had to do. That's what you were taught to do. You had to go. The most dangerous place for a defender is for someone to get to the dead ball and then cut it back, because they all don't know where they are. They're not facing the ball, and there's people coming in behind them. And it was a natural thing for me to do, and a natural thing for Peter. Wingers in those days, we were talking prior to coming on air with Jimmy Johnson at Celtic. I mean, you know, I was privileged to play against him, and you know, when you saw him, and all he did was get the ball and attack people. And Malcolm Allison always used to say, and he would have said the same to Peter, just keep going at the defender. You'll take the ball off you, you'll get a corner, you'll get a throw in, but eventually you'll destroy him because you just keep persistently getting at people. And sometimes you see wingers today, if there are wingers today, that take you on a full-back and he takes the ball off them and they don't do it again.
That's right.
There was one particular game a few years ago when Sean Wright-Phillips had just come in the side and we were playing Arsenal. And he was up against, what's the boy called, the full-back for Chelsea now? He was at Arsenal.
Ashley
Cole, yes.
And I'm going to tell you, the first half, he absolutely destroyed him. Yeah. He destroyed him, you know, and eventually he got booked, Cole. And the second, all you had to think of was that the second half, we're going to knock everything out to him to take him on, which he was doing. He never got a pass to the ball. You know, when you're in a position to destroy people as a winger against a full, you've got to give him the ball. You've got to give that ball back to him. If you find a weakness, and the fellow had been booked, and we never got a ball out to him in the second half. Yeah. You know, we've got to learn when someone's destroying somebody to make sure they get the ball.
Right, well, let me ask you a question then, because like most City fans, I watched the Stoke game, they go down a man down, and we have basically 2 rows of 6'5" defenders, and we've got 3 5'8" attackers. But when we did get the ball out wide, all I heard was, well, there's nothing to hit. You were 2 of the best wingers ever. If you've got small attackers and dirty big defenders, you get a yard of space. Where do you put the cross in?
Well, I played with Francis Lee, and he wasn't.
He wasn't big, Franny, was he?
No, is he? He's here, and he.
And the thing was, in Mike's day, I think in my day, you're told if Mike had it wide or I had it wide, the rest of the players got to get in the box. You know,
yeah, but if they're not big, Peter, and you've got 6-foot defenders, where do you put it in the box?
Well, you've got to have young, small players going near post or backs. You can, you know, run to the near post. Franny had a good head, Mike, didn't he? Could
yeah,
score
but you
a few
pick
goals.
people out, don't you?
Yeah,
you know,
that's the difference.
But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the reason for the question, mate. Peter's dad, I was talking to Franny about Ken, and Ken was obviously a very bright player. And Franny said to me, a coach don't decide a game of football. A game of football is decided by the brains of your best players. And just the thought about Stoke was, when they hit that brick wall, they were sort of looking around waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Yeah. And it strikes me, good players know what to do, don't they?
They do, but there was another situation in that game, you know, and I have to go back. When you're playing against big people, you know, the goalkeeper has to roll the ball out and work it from the back. There was too many times he was kicking the ball out and it was going straight. When you got possession of the ball in the Premier Division or any international football or anything, The most important thing is possession of the ball. So when you're playing against that amount of people, and there's, you know, tall fellas, you've got to play the ball on the ground to people's feet and get some movement and get round the back and play round the back. We never got round the back. They all say it's a small pitch, but it's irrelevant how big the pitch is. You make your own space as a winger and you just take people on. And that's it. And we didn't do it in that game, but we keep... When you're crossing a ball, the wingers have peripheral vision, you know, don't you?
Yeah.
They can go be looking there and they can tell you what's happening over there, and you can pick your man out. And you don't just cross a ball willy-nilly. You're picking somebody out. When you take a corner, Peter will tell you, when you take a corner, you're not just whacking in the middle. You pick out an individual person and you pick,
you're
pick
right.
that person.
I think it's a dying art, Jim. I think Phillips has improved his crossing. You see so many wide players today get to the byline and they hit the first man. You've got to clear that first man. And as Mike says, in our day, you're taught to get the byline and glance across the penalty area and pick a blue shirt out. You chip it back, you hit it low and hard near post. Mike taught me all I knew as a kid. You hit it low and hard near post, you chip it the back stick for centre forward, or you pull it back to the penalty spot, or at the end of the box where there's players coming onto the ball. And you're taught that as a young age. And you know, if no one's teaching these lads to clear the first man, then they're being badly coached.
I always think about Wyn Davis when he played for us. Now, Wyn Davis, when everybody was in the box, used to have someone to go to the near post, someone to go behind him, and someone come in from a distance. Now, Wyn used to stand outside the 18-yard box, if I would take it on the right, way out he was, and all I used to do then was pick the ball down. I used to just, as soon as he started running, I'd play to where he was going to be. And by the time he got there, instead of being 6'2", he was 9'1". Now, you put Mikey Richards coming from a distance there, how good he is in the air, and he's moving, you know, and attacking the ball. He's 6'2", but he'd be 9'1". You know, we don't seem to attack the ball. The last person I saw really attack a ball was Teddy Sheringham when he played for Manchester United. He used to come from nowhere and attack the ball, where everybody seems to be waiting to see what's going to happen. You've got the thing about being a forward, whether a winger or a centre forward or inside forward. You've got to anticipate what's going to happen.
One of the lads who scores goals a week, Mike said, right, the lad who scores more goals than anybody else, he's not a big lad, he's Cahill at Everton. He jumps incredibly high, Mike, doesn't he? He makes a movement for the ball, the ball's coming in, he scores so many headers, it's untrue.
Right, we'll talk a lot more in a couple of minutes. This is the City Debate Show. These are two true blue legends, Peter Barnes, Mike Summerbee. We'll see you in two. City Debate Show. Look at this. What an array of talent. Peter Barnes and Mike Summerbee. Right, we've sorted out wingers. I want to ask you two about something I read up with great interest this week. Micah Richards hit the ground running, Mike, in the England side in the blink of an eye. This season it's gone a little bit awry for him. But Martin Keown, who won a lot of England caps himself, said he's got fantastic athletic ability. If he's prepared to learn the positional side of defending, he could be, quote, one of the great all-time English defenders.
Well, he's probably right, because I mean, I was an admirer of Keown. I thought he was a difficult player to play against. But I mean, Mikey Richards has got every attribute to be for a top-flight player. He's done very, very well. But when things happen so quickly to you, when you get caps so young and things like that, it's very difficult the season afterwards to maintain that standard all the time. Sometimes people learn a little bit how you play. In the first season, you can get away with it. In the second season, you know, people learn a little bit how you play and everything like that. So he has to take that step further on, exactly that. And you know, he's playing in the position at right back now. And I'm not sure whether it's his position at all. I mean, I think he plays well at right back, but I think he could be a good central defender if he gets his positional sense right, as Martin Keown said.
So, Barnsley, would you agree with that? If he learns the nous side of the game to go with his obvious athleticism, he could be a top player?
Yeah, I mean,
without a doubt.
I think the unfortunate thing is that at times they put him at left back a few games this season and he was out of his depth. He's got no left foot, he's not naturally balanced to play there, but as Mike says, probably centre-half is his best position. He has got the pace to play behind Little Phillips on the right, but he's just got to get used to the pick, you know. And when Dunn's been injured and one or two other people, so he's been moved around the back four at different times. I just think he's still learning the game, and his positional sense at picking people up, and maybe if he can just improve a little bit on his distribution, you know, his touch on the ball, he's going to get better. He's still a young lad.
Well, your dad always used to say, because you know what your dad's like about coaching, but he did say you can learn by playing with good players. You'd hope that over the next couple of seasons, with the quality at City, or the proposed quality at City, it would be a fantastic chance for Micah to learn from the best, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, and the best is yet to come. He's only, what is he, 20?
Yeah, about.
21, 19, 20. Playing with those players at the back, Company and Dunn, and, you know, now Bridge has come, you know, it's going to help his game. But as long as he just learns, and he's going to come back a better player, hopefully.
So, Mike, one player we've sung the praises of many times around this table is Stephen Ireland.
Yes.
And what do you think of that midfield attacking trio of Sean Wright-Phillips, Stephen Ireland and Ronaldo?
Well, I think he's good. I think Ireland's really a very, very improved player. I think he's always had the ability to do it, but he suddenly woke up one morning and said, hang on, and he's got his act together and he's playing exceptionally well. He sometimes drifts in and out of the game, sometimes, and you don't see him for a few minutes or something like that, but he's not always in the game. But yeah, it's a good situation there. I think if you pushed him a little bit farther forward like he does, I think just outside the 18-yard box, he's a very dangerous person. He runs at people and he can play 1-2s with people. But, you know, I think that you know, the midfield is as it will be. I don't think you'll see the best of Rubino till next season. I think it's a different type of game to what he's played in Madrid. You know, when he plays for Brazil, it's a different type of game. You know, he's a marked man. He's not a particularly strong person, but we've got a good coaching staff. This is what you've got to understand. We've got a good coaching staff at City, so they can help people if they listen, and people like Mikey Richards and Ireland, they can only improve. All the players will improve because they're very, very young. Zabaleta's done fantastically well for us. You know, and it's the future for City is, well, I think it'll take, as I said to you before, it'll take its time, but the future for City is going to be brilliant.
Now, Peter, we talked before about the players who have come. The most noticeable absentee is Rocky Santa Cruz, who we all thought was going to be a shoo-in. How big a miss will that be for Mark Hughes not to have that target man, especially now he has got Bellamy, who you'd expect to play off a bigger player?
Yeah, as like Mike said earlier, I think we've always looked to have a player who can hold the ball up. You've got to have a striker up there who can hold the ball, and defenders are confident hitting a striker that they know the ball's going to stick to his feet or stick to his chest, and he can bring it down. And you know, we've missed that sort of player, I think, and that's probably one of the only positions we are still missing. But there's not many games to go now to the end of the season. I still think we're on a good run, and if we can finish the season off, unlike Sven did last season, if we can finish the season off in good form, then you know, a lot to look forward to next season in August.
But we do need a target man. We do need a person that can hold the ball up.
Yeah.
When we won the championship that year, I played for one season at centre forward.
You did, I remember it well.
I couldn't score many goals. I'm never a goal scorer, but I could hold the ball up. That's my strength. I could hold the ball up, and you could get movement off there. Now you can imagine if you're knocking balls. Just because Santa Cruz is 6'1" doesn't mean everything's got to go in the air.
Right.
You know, you drop balls into people and you get movement off him. He holds it up, and you get Bellamy making runs. You get Ireland going beyond him. And this is what we need. We need someone who's reliable, can hold the ball up, he can win a ball in the air when he wants to win a ball in the air. From corners, we can win something from a corner, which we haven't done for a long time. And the thing is, but the key to it all, we've got to get a target man that can hold it up and work the line. Not just stay there, work the line and get people moving around him.
Would he be your choice, though, Peter? Because I read in the paper at the weekend that after the Rocky Santa Cruz deal fell down, he made a last-minute bid to get Nicholas Bentner from Arsenal. Yeah. Do you think it will be Santa Cruz he goes back in for?
Possibly not, Jim. I don't know. We don't need to tell Mark what to do. He's got his great coaching staff behind him. They'll be scouring the world.
He seems very taken with Santa Cruz, though, doesn't he? From their time together at Blackburn.
They've worked together at Blackburn. He knows what Santa Cruz is all about. It must be difficult for Mark, because Mark was that great player who did all that as a centre forward.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll have to put him in our time machine when I take used to back then.
I played with him for United in '85, and there was nobody better. He held the ball up, he was strong as an ox, like Mike said, and everything went back, and you were comfortable at giving him the ball, because it doesn't matter who stood behind him, he was so powerful to keep the ball and bring people into play.
I'll tell you something now, you know, I'm not telling people to do jobs, but I think Jed Evans, the boy Evans, you know, he can hold the ball up, you know. And if you play balls into him, he'll hold it up for you, and he's a strong top part of his body. You could get good movement off him, you know. And sometimes I wonder whether, you know, he would fill that gap till the end of the season. He might not score the goals that you want, but he'll get the people around him to score goals. You know, and this is it.
Strength,
and it's about that, you know. And I look at, and he was on the substitutes bench on Saturday. And I sometimes along the line, because he's very similar physique to Mark Hughes. And Mark Hughes, as Peter said, could hold the ball up, get movement off it, but he could score goals as well. So at the end of the day, you know, an opportunity could be there for him, especially away from home. If they play balls into him, You know, instead of to the
He's done
side of
well.
him, play balls to him so he can hold it up. Then you could get people to support him and also get movement off him, you know.
Right, well, while we're talking about younger players, one of the interesting things that somebody asked me on Saturday on the radio, Peter, was now we've got 7 substitutes, wouldn't it be a perfect chance for Mark Hughes to give a taste to some of Jim Cassell's kids? The kids who won the Youth Cup last year are just bubbling under the first team, whether it would be a chance to get them out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what is the 10 games left? I think maybe another 4 or 5 games. We're still pushing. I mean, we're in 9th spot now, Mike, aren't we? I think in the league, you know, we'll get a few more good results under our belt. Then I think the last 5 or 6 games definitely, you know, put the boy V's. I think we've missed Petrov on the left side. I don't Mike think we've missed the balance of the side. Certainly playing at home, we've missed Petrov on the left. And I'd stick the kids in if there's 4 or 5 games to go, give them the experience.
I watched the Newcastle game, the youth match of the week, and there's 1 or 2 players there that should step up into the level of actually training with the first team squad, you know, and get some experience that way. But you know, if we're in a position where Mark Hughes could do that and push them give them the last 20 minutes of a game, 2 or 3 games to go for the end of the season. Because I think you've got to be blown. There's no such thing as you're too young.
Well, mate, I've got the perfect opportunity. You'd played 200 games by the time you're 20. He's playing for England when he's 18. So if you are good enough, you are old enough, aren't you, really?
You are, and that's it. I mean, you know, there's no such thing as, you know, you're too young. You know, you've got to go from... If you're in an academy like we've got, and we've got a great academy, and someone's making some progress, just put him into the first team squad training, get the experience of playing with the players that you all admire as a younger person, and then you're in there with them, and then suddenly the day will come and you say, right, and just give them a run out. And that's what it is. I had the situation at Swindon where we played with 2 16-year-olds and 4 17-year-olds in one team. And the manager believed it. So Matt Busby did the same with the Busby Babes. He brought young players into the side. Peter was given an opportunity, but I don't know what it is. I don't know whether the people are afraid to say that, you know, give them a game or whatever. But I don't think people are afraid. No. I think that sometimes that, you know, people don't realise that it's a man's game and you just get on the field and you get out and play. If you're 16, 17 or 18, whatever.
You're right. I think fans like it. They've always been associated with good kids coming through. I learned off all the pros. Mike in the side, Alan Oakes, Glyn Pardo, Tommy Booth. You know, me, Jed Keegan, Paul Power and Kenny Clements came in the team. We had abundance of experienced players who'd won everything from the late 60s. You know, Mike said, did I play with him? His memory's going a bit... I played probably 5 or 10 games with Mike, you know, Rodney Marsh, great Colin Bell.
I remember.
And we learned off the older players because they talked to you about the match, about the game at half-time. They'd say, don't worry, you've lost the ball. He'd be the best. He'd say, keep taking him on, get at the full-back. If you lose it, don't worry. And you learn off the older pros. And the only way you're going to learn is put these kids, blood them in the team, and let them have time. Mark Hughes needs time to bring these kids through, to learn the trade off older pros who should be talking to them about it.
Mike, we could talk forever. I'd love to talk forever. I'll certainly be talking for a while, but I'll see you same time next time, City Debate Show.